Well, welcome everyone back to another live episode of Level Up Law. We're concluding our series today with our employment law unit, and I'm here, Senior Staff Attorney Susan Ingalls, with our producer Kenneth Elliott, and you are looking live at our employment law unit head, Attorney Stephanie Vanderhorst. Welcome, Stephanie, and today Stephanie is going to be explaining how to remove barriers to employment through expungements and pardons. So we're real excited to conclude our series with our employment law unit for Second Chances Month. So welcome, Stephanie. Glad to have you back.
Thanks, Susie. It's good to be back.
Before we started, I do want to remind our viewers and our audience that this is not legal advice, just general information for the public. If you do need the help of a lawyer, call our intake line here at South Carolina Legal Services or apply online. That information will be provided at the end of Stephanie's presentation. And also, as a reminder to everyone, all of our episodes are posted by producer Kenneth Elliott to the Level Up Law playlist on our YouTube channel, usually within about 24 hours. So you can go back and look at it if you would like to have another round. I do want to say that Stephanie, as long as time allows, can answer general questions at the conclusion of the presentation. So please do put any questions that you have in the question box. And again, we'll post that recording. And I do ask that everyone, even if you don't want to listen to this particular one, again, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. And there's so many other great video resources there. We invite you to do that. And be sure, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, it sure would help us out if you would do that. Got a lot of great information there. Also, at the end of the presentation, Stephanie will have a slide that we can go over with all of our contact information and social media handles. So I am going to now turn it over to Attorney Stephanie Vanderhorst. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thanks, Susie. As Susie stated, I'm Stephanie Vanderhorst. I'm a staff attorney here at Legal Services in our Charleston office, and I'm also the employment law unit head. So today, I'm going to be wrapping up Second Chances Month with our last Level Up Law presentation on removing barriers to employment through expungements and pardons. And we're just going to start with the basics here and talk about criminal records. So what is a criminal record? So criminal record is, in South Carolina, is data that is kept by the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. That data is comprised of lots of different things. So it can be just an arrest, a dismissed charge, a charge that was null pros, meaning that the prosecutor didn't go forward on, not guilty verdicts, and as well as convictions. So I think one of the misconceptions is that if a charge is dismissed or if you're not convicted, that it's not on your criminal record. But that is not correct. It will remain on your criminal record in some instances. Some are automatically removed. However, it is important to get a copy of your SLED report in order to make sure that that it's correct and that the charges that are or convictions that are not supposed to be there anymore are gone. A criminal record also encompasses records kept at the courthouse, so a magistrate court or a municipal court or a general sessions court in which a conviction was processed, and then also records gathered by commercial databases. So there are businesses that provide the service of giving employers criminal records checks. And what they do is they access criminal records from all different types of databases around the country, compile them, and then provide them to employers. So they are not automatically updated after an expungement or a pardon. So it's important to let them know as well that something has changed. And there's a nonprofit that does that specifically. Okay, so what are the effects of having a criminal record? We all know what they are, right? Employers check criminal records before they hire you. Criminal records can be pulled for if you're trying to obtain a professional license, such as a nurse, a nursing assistant, a certified nurse's aide. All lawyers go through criminal record checks before they are licensed to become a member of the bar. And then also landlords in some cases will pull a criminal background before they agree to sign a lease with you. So it's important that you're aware of what's on your record so that you can kind of head off some of these obstacles to begin with. So how do you get a copy of your criminal record in South Carolina? So this is only for South Carolina. Every state has its own version of SLED and its own version of a criminal record for that state. So here in South Carolina, criminal records are kept and maintained by the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. You can obtain a copy of your South Carolina criminal record by going to their website, which is www.sled.sc.gov. You can pay by credit card over the website, and usually it can be emailed directly to you. In some instances, if you have a very common name or there's some kind of, I guess, recurring mistake with your name, you might be told over the website that it can't be accessed digitally, in which case you'll have to mail them a record request, which can be printed off of their website as well, and then you just send them a check, a money order for $25. You can also get a copy of your criminal records from local law enforcement offices. And that can include out-of-state results and fingerprint searches. So keep that in mind. So the most sought after method of removing charges and convictions from a criminal record is an expungement. Now, an expungement is the actual destruction of criminal records related to an arrest or criminal conviction. All records are destroyed. They're no longer reported on the SLED report. However, only certain categories of convictions can be expunged, and you can only use each category once, except in the case of non-conviction. So for non-conviction, a non-conviction is an arrest or a charge that didn't result in a conviction. Those include dismissed charges, charges that were null prost, or charges that were returned not guilty, either by a judge or by a jury. There's two courts in which this can take place. One is a magistrate or a municipal court. You know, those are the courts that you go to for like traffic tickets and for misdemeanor criminal charges. And then there's big court, which is general sessions, which is your county criminal court, and that's usually located where your general county court is located. Now, if you're looking to have a non-conviction expunged from a little court or a magistrate or municipal court, you apply directly to that court. They have, they usually, it's not uniform. Some courts have their own application. There's also request an application form available on the SC Courts website, which can be downloaded, filled out, and then sent to the court. If you call the court that you were charged at or that handled your charge, they can tell you either how to get the form or they can send it to you. Now, if your charges were processed through big court, through your county general sessions court, then you would apply for an expungement of non-convictions through your solicitor's office in that county. Most solicitor offices have a website. On those websites include information about expungements. Unfortunately, all the different county solicitors do it a little bit differently, so you have to go to each county solicitor's website in order to get their general process. Non-convictions are free to expunge unless the charge was dismissed or null pros as a result of a plea bargain. So you pled guilty to one charge and the rest were dismissed. Now, if that happened, those charges will cost you $250 a piece to expunge. Still worth having them expunged, though, although it can be expensive. The next category are charges that are dismissed through diversion programs. So if you have a charge, you're arrested for certain types of crimes, in some instances, you can be diverted from the criminal court system into what's called a diversion program. You go through the steps of the program, and at the end, if you complete it, then your charge is recorded as a judicial dismissal and it's eligible for expungement. Now, those diversion programs include pretrial intervention, the alcohol education program, traffic education program, veterans court, mental health court, and drug court. Now, those, however, require a fee, and the fee is $250 to the solicitors for the charge, plus $35 to the clerk of court. So $285 total. Okay, so next we get into convictions that can be expunged. The first one is a conviction for a fraudulent check. The requirement is that it must be your first offense misdemeanor conviction for fraudulent under the fraudulent check law. I will note that each check is a separate offense. If you were served with several warrants at the same time, in some cases, the court and the solicitor will consider expunging all of them at once. You cannot have any further other convictions within 1 year of the date of that fraudulent check conviction. And then the fee for that is $250 to the solicitor's office, $35 to the clerk of court, and then a $25 charge for SLED. Okay, next, simple possession. So this is a conviction for first offense misdemeanor for drug possession or unlawful possession of a prescription drug. 3 years must have passed since the completion of the sentence, including probation and parole. No other convictions in any state within that 3-year period. This also applies to conditional discharge, which is more of a diversion program. And then, of course, the same fees apply to that one for convictions. So $250 to the solicitor, $35 to clerk of court, and $25 to SLED. Okay, so first offense conviction for possession with intent to distribute. This one is a kind of a difficult one to get done. You have to have waited there. You need to have 20 years between the completion of your sentence or the conviction and the time that you apply for the expungement, and you can't have any other drug convictions or felony convictions in any state in that 20-year period. And then the fees are the same, $250 to the solicitor's office, $35 to the clerk of court, and then $25 to SLED. Okay, so this is my favorite category because a lot of different things fit into this category. Your general misdemeanor expungement. So this is a conviction of a crime that carries a maximum penalty of not more than 30 days in jail and or a fine of not more than $1,000. Now, this includes stuff like shoplifting, third-degree assault and battery. This will also include a domestic violence third-degree conviction, or if it's been a while since that conviction, it used to be called criminal domestic violence. The general rule is you have to have 3 years in between the time of the conviction and the time that you apply for an expungement, and you can have no other convictions within that time period. Now, the caveat is if you're asking to expunge a criminal domestic violence conviction or a domestic violence third-degree conviction, you have to wait 5 years and no other convictions within that 5-year period. You also cannot have any pending charges, even if it's been 5 years. And you only get to use this once, like all the others. And the fees are the same though. So $250 to the solicitor, $35 to the clerk of court, and $25 to SLED. And like I said, lots of different convictions fit under this category. It's very friendly, for lack of a better term. Okay, so this category, first offense, youthful offender, is really, really helpful to individuals who may have been in some trouble earlier in their life. It is an expungement for convictions, even felony convictions, in which the offender received a youthful offender sentence at a single proceeding. So you can't have any additional conviction for 5 years after the completion of the sentence, including probation and parole. Now, it also applies to individuals who are convicted prior to June 2nd, 2010, and would qualify as a youthful offender as defined by the statute. So only certain types of felony convictions fit under that statute, and you have to be between 17 and 24 years old to use it. So prior to 2010, this didn't exist. However, you could still have convictions that were that you were convicted of prior to 2010. However, as long as they fit under this definition under the statute. Now, the fees for this are the same as the others: $250 to the solicitor, $35 to the clerk of court, and $25 to SLED. Okay, so failure to stop for blue light. First, you can have your first offense, failure to stop for blue light, expunged as long as you have no additional convictions for 3 years after completion of the sentence, and you pay the fee of $250 to the solicitor, $35 to the clerk of court, and $25 to SLED. Okay. Juvenile offenses are under a different category. The court has discretion whether or not to grant an expungement for juvenile offenses. You can have no prior conviction of an offense that would carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 5 years or more if committed by an adult. You must be at least 18 years of age, completed the sentence, and had no later charges. Violent crimes are not eligible. Violent crimes are defined in SC Code 16160. And the fees for this are $250 to the solicitor, $35 to the clerk of court, and $25 to SLED. Now, if you are a survivor of human trafficking, then you can expunge any convictions that are a result of the trafficking. Usually what we see here is certain drug convictions, convictions for prostitution, maybe shoplifting, things like that. There must be evidence that you were a victim of human trafficking, and then anything resulting from that trafficking can be expunged. Now, how do I get an expungement? We already talked about non-convictions. For non-convictions in municipal or magistrate court, you request the expungement from that specific court. All other cases are processed by the solicitor's office in the circuit where the charge or conviction occurred. So if you're in Charleston and the charge or conviction was in Charleston, you're going to the Charleston County Solicitor's Office. If it was Berkeley, you're going to the Berkeley County Solicitor's Office. Dorchester, Dorchester County Solicitor's Office, and so on. You will need what's called a disposition sheet for each charge that you're looking to expunge. You can get those from the court that processed the charge. So if it was in magistrate or municipal, you'll need to request the disposition sheet directly from that court. If it was processed through our county general sessions court, then you'll request it from those courts. Most applications for expungements can be found online, whether it be for magistrate or municipal courts or for the solicitor's office. Each solicitor's office usually has their application online, and you'll have to provide, excuse me, sorry, a copy of your SLED report, social security card, and photo ID. Solicitor's offices vary a little bit on that. That's the general rule. So, like we discussed, the majority of expungements will cost $310 per expungement. Non-convictions are free unless it was part of a plea bargain. Diversion programs are $285. They still require the clerk of court fee and the solicitor's office fee. Fees must be paid in 3 separate money orders. They do not take cash and they do not take personal checks. Some solicitors' offices may have funds to assist with fees. You'll have to check with each individual solicitor's office to see if anything's available. The funds go fast though, so keep that in mind. Okay, so once you've exhausted your expungements, the process is not over, because anything that's left over can still be pardoned. Now, pardons are different from expungements. They're governed by the Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services, and they will remain on your SLED report. However, on that report, it will be noted that the conviction was pardoned. You must have paid all fines, fees, restitution, probation, and parole before applying for the pardon. If you do not pay all those fines, fees, restitution, it'll be denied, administratively denied. You'll have to wait a year until you can try again. It's $100 to apply for the pardon. It's non-refundable. And you can list all of the rest of your convictions at one time on that application, submit it. The process takes about 7 to 9 months. So 7 to 9 months from the time that you submit the application, you'll get notice from Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services that you have a hearing. In addition to the application itself, you'll need 3 letters of reference by individuals who are not related to you by blood or marriage. And those individuals have to specifically recommend you for a pardon. Those letters need to be within 6 months of the pardon application date. Sometimes it takes individuals a little while to get all the pardon letters together. Just keep in mind that they have to be within 6 months old in order for them to submit it, in order to submit it with the application. Okay. You don't need an attorney for a pardon hearing. Since March of 2020, the rise of COVID-19, pardon hearings have been virtual. You'll get a letter in the mail when your hearing comes up 7 to 9 months after you submit your application, and it'll give you a few options. Either you can let the board consider your application without you being present at the hearing. You can appear virtually, or you can prepare and submit a written statement to the board regarding your hearing. Now, There'll be 7 members there. Considering your pardon, you only need 5 out of those 7 on your side to grant you a pardon. So there's kind of an overall strategy when it comes to clearing your criminal record through expungements and pardons. The first, of course, get that SLED report. Take a good look at it. Make sure everything on there is yours. If you don't recognize something, you don't remember something, you might want to call that arresting agency, get the information regarding that, because maybe it's not yours and it was, it was a mistake. Mistakes happen. Now, once that's done and you're ready to proceed with the expungement and pardon process, I recommend going ahead and expunging all of those non-convictions first, and then expunging the remaining eligible convictions. And then once that's done, go ahead and seek a pardon for whatever's left on that report. Now, I will note sometimes expungements are cost prohibitive, so not everyone can shell out $310 a piece for each expungement. That's fine. I would suggest going ahead and seeking a pardon for all of those convictions at one time. You can always request an expungement after you've received a pardon. This is not on here, but I will mention that sometimes criminal record reports, SLED reports, will show arrests for failure to pay child support for a contempt violation in civil court. Those should not be appearing on your SLED report, and SLED should remove those once requested. And of course, that's something that legal services can assist you with if you need help with it. But if you do see something like that on your SLED report, it can be automatically removed. It's a civil and not a criminal issue, and shouldn't be appearing on a criminal record report. All right, so that pretty much covers the expungement and pardon process. I can take questions now, Susie.
Awesome. We do have one question so far, and I do encourage our viewers to go ahead and put any questions in the question box right now, as we will be signing off shortly. The question we have right now: if someone applies to get an expungement or pardon with South Carolina Legal Services, do they take care of the cost for the expungement or pardon? And I can answer that one, but I'll let you. The answer to that is no. But I do know that there certainly are different organizations out there that sometimes can help with that. Is that right, Stephanie?
Yes, that's correct. Legal Services does not cover the cost of those expungement fees or pardon fees. That's something the client would have to come up with. However, especially, I think we're seeing new organizations every day trying to kind of address this issue with criminal records and preventing employment and really preventing reentry into the workforce. There are organizations out there that will, in some instances, cover those fees. It depends where you are, and it depends on, sometimes the time of year, whether or not those funds are available and things like that. You would need to maybe do a little Google search for those organizations in your area.
Right. Yeah.
And things like that. There's a bunch of different ones. So.
Sure. And it's possible that whichever office of South Carolina Legal Services that might be helping you with your case, they would know any local organizations probably who are helping out with that. I don't know that there's any statewide organizations that do it, but I think there's local, but just go ahead and apply, and we'll see if we can help you find a resource for those fees. It looks like that's the only question right now. Let me just double check, because sometimes we sign off too quickly. But I do encourage our listeners to check back on YouTube, where this will be posted, and give us any comments that you might have regarding this subject or any other. We're always interested in the subjects that our viewers would like to hear about, if they are areas of expertise that we have. So I definitely encourage the viewers to do that. You can see on your screen here all the information about how to get in touch with South Carolina Legal Services. You can call Monday through Thursday between the hours of 9 and 6. And then also, of course, as we mentioned in the beginning, you can apply online, which is a great way to do it because that's available 24/7. And we also have provided our websites where there's a lot of good resources, and also all our social media, which again, we encourage you guys to follow. We're always putting out good information there and notifications about things like this webinar, clinics that we might be having in your area, and just good news and information. So this has been a great series, Stephanie. We really appreciate your employment law unit addressing all these great issues we have with barriers to employment during Second Chances Month. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. It was excellent. And I do want to, again, encourage our viewers to go to YouTube and share this broadcast. Like it. I would like it because it seems like it has been a really great overview, starting from what is a criminal record, you know, all the way through card. So that was super informative. We do want as many people as possible to get this information. So definitely share it out and sign up for those notifications so you'll get a notification every time we post a new video. You know, we do a lot of videos, not just on Level Up Law, so a lot of good information there. And then let's talk about the month of May, which is Older Americans Month, and we're going to have another series like our employment unit did this month for Older Americans Month, and we'll start on Tuesday where we'll be hearing from Crystal Strong from our South Carolina Department on Aging about SHIP, the state health insurance program. A lot of good info will be coming from Crystal to tell us about how to apply for funds from that program. So again, thank you, Stephanie, for an excellent presentation. We thank our audience for tuning in today, and that concludes today's webinar. Thanks for watching.
Susie.